And it still goes on. I mean, you know, we live in Brighton, obviously, and if I'm early for work in Rottingdean where I work, I'll go down to the rock pools if there's a low tide, and I'll take pictures of anemones, and I'll take crabs, and it's still there.
Yeah,
and
it's still there.
And it's still as fascinating as it was then. But I do wish, as you say, I do wish more people would embrace what's on our doorstep rather than be obsessed with the latest Netflix sort of box set. Do you know what I mean? There's some real wholesome stuff out there that we have a direct contact and relationship with, rather than being stuck inside and just fascinated by this screen on the wall. And I think, you know, even when I go swimming in the sea here, it's always with goggles, and it's always diving down and trying to find stuff, even though you don't really find much on this beach.
Yeah.
But there's always the possibility, and I think that is the driver.
Yeah.
You just never know. So yeah.
Amazing.
And even, you know, walking on the downs, identifying butterflies, identifying birds by their bird song, by their feathers. I mean, people who walk with me are like, there we go, and I've got my binoculars. But you know, last weekend we went with a friend. I mean, they're also members, but their son's called Monty, and he's, I think, 9. And to then pass on what I know to him, it's like, here's the binoculars. Check out those 3 Canada geese goslings over there, and you feel like you're sort of passing it on, and hopefully, maybe inspiring another generation. It's what my dad did with me. He would always sort of teach and show me and expose me to every possible kind of situation he possibly could.
And what did your dad do?
He was in advertising.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, he was creative in advertising, came up with quite a few iconic brands and commercials. And weirdly, I mean, obviously we'll talk about campaigning, but the process of campaigning is very similar with advertising, and also campaigning to change laws. We never really had that conversation, sadly. But at the end of the day, you're coming up with a concept and a solution, and you're trying to influence as many people as possible and persuade them to do that thing, whether it's to buy a product or to sign and share a petition. But the kind of the behaviour change and the sort of, I guess that you could say the science behind it is very similar.
Did you spend a lot of time with your dad as a child? Yeah. And
my mum. But I think I was closest to my dad in terms of the stuff that we did together, and the sort of used to test me on the capital cities and test me on, it was always, but not in a strict way.
No, of course.
But it was always sort of fun learning at every possible opportunity. One of the most influential things, funny enough, I did with him was we used to go to Heathrow and watch planes taking off. And interestingly, that really helped shape part of he was into branding because he was a creative in advertising. He was a phenomenal genius really with branding, and I was always fascinated by airplane tails.
Interesting.
Because the airplane tail is the brand of the airline, and it always incorporates usually incorporates the flag of the country, and how you can easily identify something from a distance in 1 millisecond, what airline it is and where it's from. And I was always fascinated by that adaptation of the country's flag into the airline, like British Airways, for example. So yeah, there's opportunities everywhere to learn, and sometimes they're less obvious, sometimes they're more obvious. But there's stuff around us all the time that we can sort of get tips and hints from.